Okay, so as I was saying, we are going to use the progression. So you get a chance to really study what it means to start off from a beginner level and kind of keep notching up your practice. And since today we're going to focus on nothing else, I'm not going to throw in a vinyasa flow, maybe at the end if we have time. But otherwise, it's just going to be the externally rotated pose and the neutral pose, which is your warrior 2 and warrior 1, and feed off that. You can figure out how much deeper you want to take your practice. So when you're ready, kind of align your mat parallel to your screens and go ahead and get your feet about 2 feet distance apart. This might feel a little basic, but then we are starting from beginner all the way to an intermediate practice. Now, turn your right foot to the right heel in line with left arch. You know the alignment, you've done the basics. Now, to get into your beginner warrior 2, just bend your right knee, track it over your second and third toes. Keep pushing into your left pinky toe. Really saying, if a lot of beginners just get overwhelmed even with getting their arms out. So just practice here. Practice getting your spine tall. And if you feel ready, inhale your arms up. So keep going. If you want, of course, turn your face over your right shoulder, look calmly at your right index finger. Keep pushing down. See how much lower you can go. If you want, get your hands back onto your hips. See how much lower you can take your hips. So you're going to feel that stretch on your inner left thigh. Keep going. And then slowly pull out and we go to the other side. So turn your right toes in. Externally rotate your left thigh at the hip, which means left toes are pointing to the left. Heel to arch alignment. Left heel in line with right arch. Bend your left knee so that it tracks over your second and third toes. Keep pushing down. Keep pushing your right pinky toe into the mat. Spine tall, shoulders relaxed. If you want, throw in the arms. If you want, turn your face over your left shoulder, looking through your left index finger. But if you want to get deeper into that right inner hammy stretch, adductor stretch, keep going lower as much as you can. And slowly turn the foot back in just to relieve that pressure. Inhale, spine tall. Exhale, just pull your elbows in as much as you can. Forward fold with straight knees. If it gets too much, bend your knees a little bit. So keep pulling your elbows in. Keep taking your heart forward. See if you can keep your hips in line with your heels. If you can release your palms all the way to the floor, great. If you can't, hold on to your calves. Pull yourselves in. So beginner forward fold. Now when you're coming up, if you're a beginner, go ahead, hold on to the floor or hold on to your calf and slowly come up. If you want to make it a little more advanced, hang on to your hips so you don't have any way to kind of help you up. And just come up using your core. Walk your feet back in. Shake it out. And let's move on to the next. So walk your feet back out. 2 shoulder width apart. External edges of your feet parallel to the external edges of the mat. Turn your right toes to the right, heel to arch. Once again, warrior 2. Now we go with the side warrior. So you start with your right forearm on your right thigh. This is the easiest, and you keep pushing your left shoulder back. If here itself you end up looking like this, you know you got some work to do, so go ahead. Keep pushing your left shoulder up and back. Now when you do that, if you find your right hip rising up and you end up looking like this, go ahead, adjust down. So you probably need to stay here. You probably don't need to go any further, because as long as you can maintain this, your body in a single plane, if you notice, it's not coming forward, it's moving back. Body remains in one plane, you're good. You know you can take it to the next level. So keep pushing your tailbone down and forward, shoulder back, and then reach your palm down to your ankle. Now notice when I do that, this shoulder doesn't tip forward. Though if you don't have that flexibility or openness, the minute you reach down, that shoulder is going to come forward, which means you either work towards getting that shoulder back where it belongs, or you go back one level, practice here, and then slowly practice going down. If you want, release your upper arm, which is your left arm, up. Turn the palms to face the right. And if you want, stretch. Now feel that stretch. Keep opening that left shoulder towards the wall behind. If you're a beginner, you might want to take the help of your knee to come back up to warrior two. If you think you can just manage with your core, go ahead, manage with your core, come back up. Release the bend in the knee. Turn the foot in. Let's try it on the other side. So left toes turn out to the left. Get into your warrior two. Left forearm on left thigh. Notice my right shoulder just keeps moving back. My hips keep descending down, but my right pinky toe remains stuck to the mat. If you can maintain your body in one plane, great. Try to go for a little deeper pose. So hold on down to your ankle. If you find your shoulder tipping forward, see if you can work towards getting it back. If it's too much, come back a level. And then see if you can just slide down slowly. So test your limits. If you want, inhale, take your right arm up, turn the palm to face the left, over to the other side. Feel that stretch on the right side of your torso. By pushing your right pinky toe into the mat, reaching up with your right fingertips. Hips keep moving down. When you're coming up, either take support with your left palm on your left knee, or if you think you've reached the intermediate level, float up with your core. Straighten out the knee, turn the foot in, and let's just do another forward fold. So this time, interlace your fingers behind you. Now, if you find this challenging, of course, go back to the old one of holding on to your calves. But if you can, try and do this. Squeeze your shoulder blades in, extend your elbows, fold forward. Now, you might feel jamming up in your shoulders. Keep taking your heart forward, lengthen your spine. Instead of trying to just get desperately into a forward fold, keep taking your heart forward. Keep your spine parallel to the floor, doesn't matter. Pull your navel in, slowly reach your heart down. Reach your arms across. When you're ready, either release your palms, hold on to your thighs and slowly come up with support, or just come up with core strength. And release. Okay, why are we doing this progression? Why are we moving from the basics onto something more complicated, something more intermediate? One is, of course, to sensitize you to where your challenge lies. But second, I've noticed that a lot of newcomers to yoga just get intimidated by all the fancy stuff that they see people around them doing. And fortunately, I'm not like that, but a lot of teachers end up being hyper flexible, hyper strong. And did you yogis just get in with this mindset that, oh my God, I'm never going to achieve that, so what's the point? And then they just walk out of the practice. So the idea that I want to give with today's practice is, no matter where your flexibility, no matter what your strength, no matter where your balance, there is a space for everyone to practice. And all you need to do is figure out that space for you. And I try and throw it in whenever I'm teaching, but today we're just going to focus on that journey. So from the beginner all the way to intermediate. So when you're ready, go back to two shoulder width apart. I'm not covering the basics in detail because I've already done that in an earlier practice. Turn your right toes to the right and push down to warrior two. So go through the move again. If you want, reach down, but you know your shoulder has to go back. Now, some of us like to bind. So what I'm going to do is show it to you from the front here, and then on the other side, I'll show it to you from the back. Now, in order to bind, you need to get your shoulder under your knee. This itself is a challenge. Now, the minute you get your shoulder under your knee, the opposite shoulder is going to come forward and it's going to go down. You can't help it. That's the way your body is designed. I mean, it's going to be very difficult to keep the shoulder up and then get my shoulder under the knee. Now, if just getting your shoulder under the knee is a problem and your pinky toe gets off the mat, you want to push it back down, and you got to just stay here and practice. But if you're trying to push through, or if you're trying to challenge yourself, by all means, let the shoulder drop. Get your shoulder under the knee and then just stay here. Don't do anything. Just experience this shoulder under the knee. And if you're getting this, if you can, start engaging your core and start taking the other shoulder back and up. So you won't be in exactly one plane, but you're trying to get there. When you're ready, slowly release, come back up. Notice I'm not fussed about how you come back up. Turn your toes back in. Let's do it on the other side. So left toes turn to the left, heel to arch alignment. Go down to warrior two. Forearm on your thigh, hips low, arm across. If you want to challenge yourself a little more, reach down. If you want to go with shoulder under the knee, let go of the shoulder, it's okay. See where your flexibility takes you. So just stay here. Keep the pinky toe in the mat. Experience the hip opening that you need to get this done. Once you feel a degree of comfort, start getting the shoulder up and back. So you've got your palm down, you're holding on to the back of your heel or your ankle, and you're opening out your right shoulder up and back. And your shoulder is under your knee. Slowly come back up. Turn your foot in, get your feet together, and let it go. Okay, just to break the monotony, let's move in to a warrior one. So get to the top of your mats. Take your left foot all the way back. Your feet start with hip width apart, so your foot is just hip width apart all the way back. Your heel is slightly in, so your foot is at 45 degrees to the vertical. Look at my hips. They're not facing forward. So if that is an issue, work on that. Just get your left hip pushing forward, right hip pushing back. Knees are straight to start with, and then start bending your right knee. Start taking your tailbone down and forward. This itself can start getting challenging because your right quad has to kind of contract to keep you upright. Your left hip pushing forward is stretching your left psoas. just this is sometimes challenging for a beginner. But if you're not a beginner, inhale, sweep your arms all the way up. Try and keep a straight spine. So warrior one, the tendency is to hyperarch your back. Do that only if you're trying to get into a back bend. Otherwise, try and keep a straight spine. Reach up. Keep pushing your tailbone down and forward. And then slowly release. Not too fussed about how you get in or out for today. Get your feet back up to the top of your mat. Feet are parallel to each other. Hip width apart. Hands on your hips. This time, take your right foot all the way back. So once again, two shoulder width apart. Your right foot opens out just a bit, 45 degrees. Right hip pushes forward, left hip pushes back. Start bending your left knee, start descending your tailbone down. So your hip points are facing straight forward. If you want to stay here, sometimes it's okay if you're a beginner, just stay here, no big deal. I'm purposely not introducing blocks today because very often you don't have the luxury of having a block with you at your practice. If you feel this is too easy, go ahead, inhale, arms all the way up, reach, keep taking your tailbone down. When you're ready, slowly release. Because we are holding the poses for a long time, you'll feel the stretch in your Achilles tendon. And that's the other thing. If you notice, I'm not holding the poses for very long, just holding them for the 20 seconds, 30 seconds it takes to talk you through the pose. You want to add another challenge, try and hold your poses for a minute. You'll see how much you can challenge your flexibility and your strength. But if you're a beginner, feel free to move in and out of the pose. So, even though you might be holding a warrior two and it gets too much, relieve your pressure, go back in, no big deal. Okay, so once again, feet are parallel, about two shoulder width apart, turn your right toes to the right, heel to arch, go back, warrior two. Now, once again, decide simple warrior two, arm on thigh and across or all the way down, shoulder moving back. Now, if you want to do the bind, so I'll just turn around. You're here. Get your shoulder under the knee. Get your palm behind your hip. Now, just this movement where you release your balance from the floor to here can cause enormous strain. Then just see if you can bind. If you notice, my shoulder is way down and forward, my left shoulder. So inhale and spiral your heart up. Take the shoulder up, look up. So I'm actually pushing this hip in and pushing the shoulder back. So in totality, you look like this when you start, and then you push the hip in and you take the shoulder up and back. So hold that for a bit. And when you're ready, slowly, 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 slowly release. We go back to the other side. Left toes to the left. Simple warrior two, or arm on thigh and across, or palm down to the ankle, shoulder moving back, or if you want, shoulder under the knee, and I'll turn it over. Shoulder under the knee. And this is the point of reckoning. When you lift that palm and take it behind your hip, then turn this palm around, bind, inhale, spine tall, shoulder moving back, hip moving forward. Back knee straight, pinky toe in the mat. Maybe turn your face up to look at the ceiling. Hold for a bit. A lot of things going on. It's a tight squeeze, it's a twist, it's a lateral bend. It gets demanding. As you can see, I'm already out of breath. Slowly release. Come back. Okay. Let's move back to warrior one. Feet are hip width apart. Push down equally into all four corners of your feet. Pull up your kneecaps, tailbone down, spine tall, shoulders relaxed. This is neither beginner nor advanced. This is like just a prerequisite. Get your posture right. Left foot all the way back. Bend your right knee. Keep that left hip moving forward, right hip back. If you want, circle your left arm all the way up and behind your left knee. Look down at your left heel. So keep pushing the left hip forward. Just because you're doing a back bend doesn't mean you need to open out your left hip and do this. If you notice this knee starts buckling in, no point. So keep the knee over your second and third toes. Keep the left hip moving forward, left fingertips down. Walk it down. As you walk it down, keep taking your tailbone down and forward. Now, if you're a beginner and this is too much, don't go deep. Stay here. Use your breath. Inhale, spine tall. Exhale. See if you can release down a little more. You want to, but keep looking down at your heel because that makes this pose easier. If you want, release your right arm up and take it back. Keep walking your fingertips down. Back knee straight. If you want to go up a notch, turn your face, look at your upper thumb. Challenges your balance a bit. Without shifting anything, without getting your hips up, hips keep moving down. Look up, reach further up and back with your right fingertips. And slowly release. Once again, feet are hip width apart. Spine tall, hands on your hips. Take your right foot all the way back. Right toes open out, 45 degrees. Right hip pushing forward, left hip pushing back. Bend your left knee. Inhale, circle your right arm up and back. Depending on where you are with your flexibility, with your strength. Look down at your right heel. Don't go very deep if you can't. If you want to practice this, keep the back knee straight. Inhale, spine tall. Exhale. See how much you can descend your tailbone down and forward and reach back. Keep looking down at your right heel. If you want, circle your left arm up and back. Reach up. Inhale, reach up even more. Exhale, drop your tailbone down and forward. If you want, look up at your left thumb. Notice how your balance gets challenged. So just a simple act of releasing your face and looking up can dramatically alter the level of difficulty. Slowly release. And shake it out. Okay. We're now going to do reverse warrior 2 or peaceful warrior. 2 intense side stretch with whatever variation you want. So just watch, don't do anything. So you start with a reverse warrior, and then you can either end up here, or you can end up here, or you can end up in a bun. Whatever you do, try and make that movement and transition graceful. If you want, you can go through all the 3 stages. So you can go through here, to here, to here, and then in, or you directly hit your max level in one movement. So totally up to you. So when you're ready, turn your right toes to the right. Bend your right knee. Warrior 2. Drop your left arm. Take your right arm up and back. Notice hips don't move. They don't come up. Stay where they are. Reach down with your left fingertips, reach up and back with your right. When you're ready, inhale, come up, exhale, go to whatever intense side stretch you need to do. And release. So even if you are at a beginner level, don't for 1 minute feel inadequate. Don't feel intimidated by people who've gone ahead in their journey. Because ultimately, it's just a journey that doesn't necessarily lead you anywhere. The journey is about what you feel about yourself and how you manage your emotions while you're doing it. So don't end up cursing yourself and saying, oh, I can't do it. Or at the same time, don't end up gloating and saying, oh, this is super easy and I'm God's gift to the yoga world. Neither of these statements is true. Because if you're focusing on either of these statements, you're not focusing on what you need to focus on, which is your breath, your emotions, and what your body is telling you in that pose. Because honestly, all these poses are pretty odd. I mean, you don't do these things in your daily life. So they're there for a purpose, they're there for a teaching. Whether you're beginner, intermediate, advanced, doesn't matter. What matters is how true you remain to that practice that you're doing. So left toes to the left. Once again, inhale, spine tall, exhale, drop into your warrior two, drop your right palm, take your left palm over and across. When you're ready, you will inhale to come up tall and exhale to move into whatever side stretch you want to go into. And slowly release. Shake it out. Okay, the balances I will leave out for today because most of you are familiar with how to progress with your balance. For example, if you're doing a half moon, either hold a block or just take your leg up so much. We've done a whole thing on balances. So we'll keep that aside. Those were the standing poses, the core standing poses that I wanted to take you through. Now let's see if we can do the same with our back bends. So I know this is a sneaky way of getting into back bends. So get onto the full mat with your stomach down, chin on the mat, arms ahead of you, 45 degrees ahead of you, just fingertips on the mat. Your feet are hip width apart, all 10 toes on the mat. Your toes are reaching back. So you can actually lift your thighs, reach your foot further back. So you find that length not only in your legs, but in your spine. When you're ready, inhale, take your heart up, take your fingertips up. Try and keep your elbows straight. Now you might end up just here, which is fine. Or you might have all the energy and end up here, which is fine too. But see if you can just hold the pose without being agitated, without feeling uncomfortable, and being able to breathe through. That's the key. You should be able to hold the pose, but you should feel comfortable. It shouldn't be like, oh my God, this is an ego thing. I got to keep staying here. And slowly release. Leave your fingertips on the mat, maybe your elbows off the mat. Reach through your toes when you're ready. Float your toes up, keep your knees straight. See where you're feeling the pressure. Sometimes you feel it right in front of your pelvis. Sometimes you feel the contraction in your lower back. Whatever it is, try and keep the knees straight, heart moving forward. can use your breath. Inhale to take your toes up a little more. And when you're ready, slowly release, palm on top of palm. Never a bad idea to take a break. Okay, now we're going to move up to all fingertips and all toes off the mat. If it gets too much, you alternate. So you take your toes up, get them down, take your fingertips up. At some point, you might want to just do all up and get it down. If you're practicing intermediate, try and stay up for at least 5 breaths. And of course, if you're advanced, I don't need to tell you what you got to do. So when you're ready, inhale everything up, or whatever floats your boat. Maybe just your arms up, maybe just your legs up, maybe alternate. Wherever you are, use your breath. Reach through your fingertips, reach through your toes. And if you ever want to give up, just go ahead and give up and get back in. No judgments. And slowly release. Now we'll start doing the upward facing bow, Urdhva Dhanurasana. So we always do one side at a time. Why is that? Because, okay, so bend your left knee. It's easier to just reach across with your left palm and hold on to your left foot, rather than do it both the sides. So sometimes you just can't get it. And even this might feel difficult. So if you do that, then either take a towel or a belt, put it around your foot and hold on with your palm. So you still get that connection and you're still able to execute the pose. Now your other arm, which is resting on the mat, keep it in front of your face, parallel to the top edge of the mat. First, pull the heel in. When you feel the stretch on your quad, then push the foot back and down. Notice how it's the foot pulling the shoulder up and back. So keep that foot engaged. So you should really feel your left quads engaging. And if you think you've got that push, you can reach up with your right palm. Keep your right toes on the mat. Keep reaching up with your right palm to take the pressure off your foot. Because the pressure is off, your foot can go further back and down. Chin up, stay with your breath. And slowly release, palm on top of palm. When you're ready, the other side. So bend your right knee in. Get your left forearm parallel to the top edge of your mat in front of your face. Turn your right arm around, hold on to your right foot. Pull the heel in towards the hip. Feel the stretch in the quad. Once you're ready, push the foot back and down. Notice how the shoulder just entrains. Keep that pressure with the foot on the palm. When you're ready, release your left arm if you want. If you don't want, keep it back here. As long as you're engaging your quad and your hammy and a little bit of your back muscles, that's fine. Stay with your breath. Choose where you want to go, beginner, intermediate, advanced. Keep your left toes on the mat. Reach through your front fingers. Reach back and down with your foot. And slowly. Palm on top of palm, stay with your breath. When you're ready, let's get into a full-on bow. So both your knees bent, heels in. Now I do realize sometimes it's impossible to hold on to both your feet at exactly the same time. In which case you grab one and then you grab the other. If you still find it difficult, no worries, use a belt or a towel. Now, before you start anything, see if you can just squeeze your shoulder blades in and start lifting your shoulders up. If you can't do anything else, just this is good enough. So chin off the mat, squeeze your shoulder blades in, get your shoulders off the mat. Relax. Once again, squeeze your shoulder blades in, lift your shoulders off the mat, chin up. Now push both your feet back and down. See if your heart starts rising up. If you notice knees are still down, this is good enough. So stay here. Don't hold your breath. Keep breathing. Keep the squeeze in your shoulder blades going. Keep that chin moving up. Keep the pressure in your feet moving back and down. And then slowly release. Relax your shoulders, relax your shoulder blades, but keep hanging on to your feet. Because if you want, you might want to progress a little further. Once again, squeeze your shoulder blades in, shoulders start moving up, chin starts moving up, push your feet back and down. Once you reach maximum engagement, see if you can start taking your knees up, but keep squeezing your knees in towards each other. It's very powerful. And then see if you can start raising your heart up even more. Reach your toes up to the sky, chin up 2, knees pushing in towards each other. 3, use your breath. 2, and 1, slowly. So that was your full intensity. Notice how you moved gradually from just doing this to holding on to one side, to both sides, to just squeezing shoulders up, to pushing your feet back, to taking your knees up. When you're ready, slowly just come to seated. Preferably Vajrasana. Now I also know that very many of us can't sit in Vajrasana, in which case feel free to tuck your toes in, sit on your heels, sit up tall. Which is fine. As long as you can keep a neutral spine, that's great. That's another thing that I've been talking about recently. You do intense back bends. Don't do a counter pose immediately. Don't do an intense forward fold immediately. Let your spine settle down in neutral for some time, because back bends can be extremely demanding on your spine. So you really want your spine to settle down before you do a counter pose. And we're taking a child's pose. And this is the beginner child's pose, because you can't get your feet back and you can't sit on your heels. You tuck your toes in and you sit on your heels and then fold forward. Now, get your palms down first. Let your lower back round and just try and get your forehead down. If you can't, bunch up your palms into a fist and get your forehead on the fist. So the idea with any child's pose is not to hang here like this, but to get a connection from your forehead all the way onto the earth. And if the earth doesn't come up to you, use a block, or if you don't have a block, use the fists. Now, if you've got the flexibility, of course, remove your palms and let your forehead reach the mat. Then see if you can keep pushing your hips back and down. So notice I'm not bothering with my feet because I know I can't point my toes back. But that doesn't mean I do not get the benefits of a child's pose. So feel the relaxation in your spine, feel the rounding going on in your back. And then if you can, of course, let your toes point back Get your full top of your feet onto the mat and enjoy your child's pose. Once again, once you get your feet back, sometimes magically the fascia just locks in and you end up hanging in here. If you're like me, get your fists and let your forehead relax onto your fists. And of course, over time, slowly, if you can get all the way down, please go ahead and do that. Slowly, 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 slowly. Okay. Let's do a few forward folds. Now, the thing with forward folding is it's always easier if you're asymmetric. So if you keep one knee bent, it's easier to get into your forward fold. So always remember that. If you're doing both your feet together, you feel locked because your fascia doesn't have the space to release that tension. The minute I do this side, the fascia can ease up because it's not as stretched out as this side where the leg is straight. So when you're ready, keep your right knee straight, bend your left knee, make sure that knee stays down. Get your heel in towards the groin, push the foot into the thigh into the foot. Spine tall. Inhale, take your arms up. Now, sometimes beginners find even just this challenging to hold. So try and keep your arms next to your ears. If you end up with your arms in front of you like this, inhale, spine tall, and try and reach back. And there are physical limitations, I get you, but if it's a lack of attention, then you need to work on getting your arms back. If it's something like a shoulder just gets stuck and you end up here, when you end up here, no big deal. As long as you feel that stretch along the side, as long as you feel that little squeeze in your upper back, go for it. And then exhale, fold forward. If you notice, I'm doing this really slowly, really stretching out. Now I'm struggling to hold on to my toes. Can't hold on to my toes. No big deal. Get your palms under your calf. Inhale, spine tall. Exhale, slowly fold forward. And then with time, you can move your palms forward and hold on to your ankle. And then fold forward a little more. Then maybe you can hold on to your foot and fold on a little more. And then maybe at some point, you can hold on to your wrist. So wherever you are, inhale, spine tall, exhale, just fold forward. At some point, you might want to bend your elbows, use your biceps to pull you in. As long as you're feeling the stretch in your hamstring and your lower back, you're good to go. There's some of us who actually feel a very deep stretch by maybe even just staying here, which is fine. As long as you get the stretch, that's what matters. It doesn't really matter whether you're going to touch your forehead to your knee or not. All that is just show value, meant for photographs on yoga journey. The real work is whether you're feeling the stretch or you're not. The real work is whether you can go just a little deeper or you can't. And if you can't, it's fine, but you should know why. Now, when you release, come back to that Dandasana position, which is your arms going up to the ceiling next to your ears. Inhale, come on up. And let's do the other side because If you don't do it, you will be walking in circles for the rest of your life. It's very important to be balanced. You know I'm joking, right? So keep your left knee straight, left foot stuck to right foot stuck to left thigh, spine tall. Another tip, if you want to remove the flesh from underneath of you, inhale, take your arms up, reach. Pull your navel in, find the length in your spine, reach up with your arms. If you notice, I'm imagining a block between my palms, pushing into that block. Taking that block even higher, and then exhale, fold forward. Now, obviously, if your palms are not reaching your toes, go beneath your calf. Just to give you that leverage. Inhale, spine tall, exhale, fold. And then see if you can keep walking your palms out as much as you can, maybe to your ankles. If that's where you stop, that's where you stop. Then maybe bend your elbows, use your biceps to pull you in. If you can, of course, go ahead, hold on to your foot. If you want, hold on to your wrist. Use your breath. Inhale, spine tall, exhale, fold forward. When you're ready to release, come back up to Dandasana. Inhale slowly. Straight spine all the way up. And release. Now, why did we do the asymmetric pose first? One, of course, because it's easier and therefore beginners find it easier. But two, if you know at some point you're going to get into deep forward folds, then it's better to warm up or to loosen up your fascia by doing it asymmetrically. So you kind of learn to go in deeper and then do a symmetric forward fold. So when you're ready, get your heels together, big toes together. Inhale, spine tall, arms up, reach. Pull your toes back if you wish, so that you're engaging your hamstrings and your quads and your calves. Exhale, forward fold. And same principle. If you can't reach your toes, go beneath your calves. Pull yourselves in. Same principle. Before you start, maybe you want to release the flesh from underneath you. If you can, hold on to your ankles. If you can, hold on to your feet. If you can, get your wrists wedged between your toes. Inhale, spine tall. Exhale, keep folding. Feel the difference in the stretch on your lower back. Suddenly it feels a lot more difficult. If the stretch gets too much behind on your hamstrings, behind your knees, maybe bend your knees a little to go in a little deeper, and then think of straightening out your knees. So that's another trick that beginners can do to experience going in a little deeper. And slowly release, come on. And release. Okay, another one that kind of freaks out most people is the cobbler pose or the Baddha, which is the soles of the feet together. Because if you just don't have the hip flexibility or the openness in your hip, your knees are going to look like this. And that's another place where most people feel inadequate, they feel intimidated, and they say, oh my God, what is this? I can't get my knees down. So even if you can try, it's excruciating pain at your hips, and your knees just refuse to come down, which is good, because now you've got a chance to really work. So just kind of flap your knees like a butterfly. Keep your spine tall. See where it goes with this. The reason you're flapping is you kind of constantly telling your hips loosen up, loosen up, loosen up as much as you can. And if you kind of tightening up and you end up becoming like even more scared, then don't, just leave it where it is and breathe and hope gravity can take you down. Otherwise, see how much lower you can get your knees. From here, wherever is your lowest point, it could be here, all the way down onto the mat, or you could be here, doesn't matter. Spine tall and fold forward. Now, some of us will just get stuck here, which is fine. As long as you feel that stretch on your inner thigh and your outer glute, that's fine. Keep reaching your heart forward. Think of reaching your heart forward rather than down, because if you're thinking down, you'll end up rounding your back, which doesn't do anything for your hips because all the stretch gets into your upper back. So you're thinking of just taking your heart forward. That's it. Heart forward. It just goes down because that's the way you are designed. You can't just kind of, unless you've got a telescopic spine, you'll just be able to keep taking your heart forward. But because you don't have a telescopic spine, though you're thinking of taking your heart forward, it automatically keeps going down a little bit. Then see if you can use your elbows to keep tucking your knees down. Heart forward. Just think heart forward. At some point, that stretch on your groins is going to get like ginormous. So just hang in there on that edge and experience what we call in yin as the edge. Stay with your breath. Inhale, spine tall. Exhale. See if you can allow gravity to take you in, but with the straight spine. In yin, I wouldn't talk about your spine. I'd say round your back if you want to. Doesn't matter. But this is not yin. We're just trying to get from beginner to intermediate to advanced. At some point, if you want, you can bunch up your fists and rest your forehead. Then see if you can remove one fist and get your forehead even lower. And then remove the other fist. Whenever you're ready, slowly, 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 make your way up. Okay, I'll just switch gears or turn sides. Wherever your heels were, get them out, that means away from you, 2 or 3 inches. You'll find that it's easier to keep your knees down now. Okay, this is where we move from beginner to a little more advanced. See if you can get your shoulder under your knee and your palm behind you. So next to your hip, your palm facing up. You do it on one side and then you try and do it on the other. I know it gets a little awkward. See wherever you can go. Then see if you can get your palms to face down on the mat. Walk your palms as far back as you can. Keep your knees low. Keep taking your heart forward. If you can, interlace your fingers. So I certainly don't have that with me today. But so there you go. Keep taking your heart forward, palms down, walking back. You can actually push your palms into the mat to propel your heart forward even more. Inhale, spine tall. Exhale, reach your heart forward. So I'm actually pushing my palms into the mat, kind of literally lifting my hips off the mat to take my heart forward. Your upper back is rounded. So if you can start thinking of straightening your spine to remove a little bit of the rounding on your upper back. And then slowly, slowly, slowly pull your knees up and release with it. So that was Baddha Konasana from a very easy beginner's perspective, where you just stay here, wherever your knees are, to all the way with your palms back. I think it's called the tortoise position. Okay, so just stay cross-legged. And now to remove that intensity of the forward fold, get your palms behind you, point your fingers back, pull your elbows in, take your heart up, chin up. I haven't spoken about any lateral bend. We did enough of the lateral bends on the standing poses. But just in case you're wondering, here you go. You don't even need to hold on to your toes. Just leave your elbow inside your thigh, push the shoulder back, and actually just rest your elbow on your head. And you have a lateral bend going. Keep pushing this hip into the mat. Only if you wish to do you start holding on to your foot with your arm that's down. Push the shoulder back. And then if you wish to go intermediate, try and hold on to your big toe. Now, if your shoulder is coming forward like it is for me, get your head inside your arm and gently push it back. And we do the same thing on the other side. So start at beginner level. Just elbow inside the knee, shoulder moving back, push the hip into the mat, and just, you can start feeling the lateral side stretch even here. If you want, don't do anything, just rest your elbow on your head. If you want, lower palm holds on to the foot, pull yourself in a little more. But the more you pull, the more you need to push your hip into the mat. So don't let the hip rise. Keep pushing the hip down. And then if you want, reach with your palm, hold on to the toe. If your shoulder is coming forward, use your head inside your bicep and push it back. But again, the most important thing is to feel the stretch on the side. Slowly release, and when you're ready, just lie down for your final shavasana. Completely relax. Fortunately, shavasana is always advanced. There's no beginner, there's no intermediate. It's always the most difficult pose, because while you look like you're just lying down, making sure you're completely comfortable takes a lifetime to learn. We're never really comfortable, never in our own skins, with our own thoughts, with our own judgments, with our own prejudices. And Shavasana literally teaches you to push it all to the side. See if none of that can affect you for only just 2 minutes or so. Stay with your breath. Sounds easy, probably very difficult. Take a nice deep long breath in. Hold it in, start moving your fingers and toes. When you're ready to exhale, pull your knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a nice little squeeze. Gently rock from side to side. When you're ready, roll over to your right, step your feet down. Slowly come back to center. Right, yogis. So this was, on the face of it, taking you through a progression of what you can do in back bends, forward folds, lateral bends. We didn't do twists today, maybe another day. To take it progressively from the easier poses to something that's complicated, something that challenges everyone, whether you're a beginner or an advanced yogi. But there's also another message that I wanted to give you, that unless you practice at the beginner level long enough, it's going to be very difficult to just get into an intermediate or an advanced practice. And that's why even when we practice and do our regular vinyasa flows, we try to do the basic poses first, even for a short while, even if we're just going through them, just to make sure we're warmed up, give our brains the chance to adjust to those easier poses, so that when we are hitting the more difficult poses, we're not lost. We're not like, oh my God, what's going on? I got this. I've learned this before. So it's always good to treat your practice as a progression. So never hit out, like even if you're feeling extremely energetic, never just say, okay, I'm just going to do a difficult pose. You are setting yourself up for failure. Always prepare yourself. And I think the same is true emotionally. Always prepare yourself. Even if the world is throwing stuff at you, if you're prepared, if you've done your homework, you can handle it. So that's all I've got to say for today. Namaste, yogis. Hopefully see you again on Tuesday. If you've got questions,